Hello everyone, welcome back to the Python Day 1 Basics. So let's look at the today's topics. So we are going to cover from the basics as we said earlier in the first video. So what are the today's topics we are going to look at? The first thing is about operating system, and then why we are learning Python, and then what is the difference between source code, intermediate code and machine code, and why they are generated, what are the things we will be generating while running a program. So these are the topics we are going to cover for today. So what is about the operating system? So first, looking at the operating system, you might get some of the things like Windows, Unix, Linux, Mac OS and etc. Several things you will be getting into your mind, but several people don't know about the operating system. The basic thing about operating system is it provides the platform for another applications and software. That's it. It provides, what it does is it provides a platform for your applications and softwares. uh, let's take an example. If you are having an PC in your hand, you will be having several apps and softwares like IDs or any apps like Spotify for listening music. So these apps and resources will be supported by a layer called operating system, and this is very crucial thing. So that's why we'll call this as a resource manager. So whatever resources we are having, it will be managing the physical hardware and software. So it basically, what an operating system does is it manages the resources. So it lies an interlying factor for hardwares and software which you are using in your PC. So as we discussed earlier, the examples for this is Linux, Unix, Windows and Mac OS and several things. Even the Parrot OS, some Ubuntu things are these kind of operating systems which you are seeing in the market day by day. As we know, operating system manages all our input drives like input ports, hardware and software. So that's the thing about operating system. That's all about the operating system, the basic things which you need to know. And then we'll be looking into the Python. Why we are actually learning Python? Let's look at about it. Why we are actually learning Python? It is simple, easy to learn, and then it's open source, and it's very strong community. It is having very strong community. As I said earlier, the community in the sense many programmers, many developers are using the Python programming language, so that if you are having any doubts or queries, you can easily connect with them and you can solve your doubts as well. Then it is a general purpose programming language, and it can be used in data science and data analytics as we discussed in our first video. And it is used in app development, game development, web development, embedded systems, automation. It is portable and even platform independent. These are all the things which we have already discussed in the earlier video. See, Python helps us to mold into any domain. Like, you'll be having in the software several domains like front end, back end, full stack web developments or full stack software development, even automation, game development, app development. App development is generally used by Android Studio for some sort of people, like using Java and Kotlin with the utilization of the Google Android Studio. And related to the web development, you will have the Python frameworks like Django, or some people call it as Django, and Flask, and several things which you need to implement. And even the interesting thing about Python is you will be having a library called OpenCV for visualizing computer graphics and computer visualization. And it is, as we discussed about the platform independent in the first video itself, we have done that platform independency, what it means and all things. And it is portable, means the code, if you are writing any particular code, if you want to send to your friend or someone, you can easily portable, you can send it. So that's the thing about this Python. So why we are learning the Python is the basic idea. So you got it, I think. Why we are going to learn the Python programming language. Especially for beginners, it is good to start with Python in my perception, because Java will be looking into why it is not that much useful for the beginners. If you are starting right now, it is very helpful in Python for the code readability and all the purpose. and it is very lengthy if you want to write any code in Java compared to Python, but the performance issues are different and the separations, and we'll be having several things related to Java and Python. So the major thing you have to address is, for beginners you can easily comfortably go with Python. So let's look at the next thing. As we already discussed, we are looking at third part, which is about source code and machine code and intermediate code. We'll be looking about the source codes, machine codes and intermediate codes. So as you can see, source code is the code that we write. Whatever code we are writing on the editor is nothing but the source code, and the intermediate code is generated after compiling or interpreting the code. Entire code, while we are running a particular code, it will be understood by, or it is translated by your compiler or interpreter based on your programming language using that you are using. So the intermediate code is nothing but the code which is generated after compiling the source code, and the machine code is, as you know, it is all about zeros and ones. It is the code that machine understands. Your machine can understand only zeros and ones, that's why it is called as machine code. And I think you can get the idea over it. Like, source code is the code what we write in the code editor or in your IDEs and all, and the intermediate code is the thing which is generated after compiling the source code or running the source code. That's it about the source code and intermediate codes and machine codes differences. Then the intermediate code in various programming languages. In your C, if you are using C programming language, the intermediate code it is generated is exe file. You will be seeing some files with your extension called .exe. That is nothing but exe file, executable code for C. In Java it is object code, and in your Python it is byte code. The intermediate code which is called in Python is byte code. In Java it is object code, and C executable code. These are the things which you need to know about intermediate code, source code and machine code. Machine code, you all know that zeros and ones is machine code. So this is the end for the basics, but I wanted to explain you some little things about source code, intermediate code and machine code in more precise manner. Let's look at it. So let's see, the code which you are writing in your code editor is nothing but source code. If you are writing the source code, if you are running the code, particular things like interpreting or while doing the compilation, it will be generated or it is undergoing some changes, like the output which you are getting in the final things. The intermediate files will be generated for every system, for every program. Each and every program will be having some intermediate files, and that intermediate files are these files which we are already seen, like executable code, byte code and object code. Like in your Java you'll be having object code, and in Python we'll be having byte code. That's the difference. Like if you are having like a sort of code like this in your code editors, this code will be compiled to produce an output, right? So while performing this compilation and interpretation, you will be having the intermediate file here, like exe files will be generated in sort of C, and also byte code will be generated. That's the idea behind it. That's the thing which we are generating basically. So I hope you understand the difference between source code, intermediate code and machine code, and this is for the video. And thanks for watching. Share with your friends. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Thank you.